This tutorial assumes you have basic Blender knowledge and have installed VTF Edit. All tools used can be found in the description below.
Hello, and welcome to the Portal Mapping and Modding YouTube channel. I will be your host for this video on how to export a model from Blender to Source, more specifically for Portal 2, but this works for every Source game. I will be covering the very basics up to how to animate a model like this, with collisions. That's pretty cool, huh? There's a lot more to learn about this that I won't be covering here today, so comment down below any tutorial ideas you have. And also, if you need any further assistance, feel free to join the Portal Mapping and Modding Discord server. Anyways, as always, timestamps on the video, and without further ado, we shall begin. For this tutorial, you're gonna need two things. You're gonna need Blender Source Tools and Crowbar. Blender Source Tools, you can install it by going into this group here. I'm gonna link in the description. You can click download the latest release and it's gonna redirect you to this page and just click download. For Crowbar, similar thing, you're gonna click on this link and it's gonna download Crowbar, the latest version, I assume. You're gonna go into your downloads folder. For Crowbar, you're just gonna extract it and you can open crowbar.exe and it's just gonna open the program. Now for Blender Source Tools, you're gonna have to go into Blender, Edit, Preferences, and you're gonna have to click Install from Disk. Go into your Downloads folder, scroll down to the zip file that is Blender Source Tools, and you're gonna click, and bam, you got it installed. To check if that worked, you're gonna go up here in this cone thing, Scene Properties, and if it says Source Engine Export, then it worked. I already have my model here because this is not going to be a Blender tutorial. Now, we have Export Path here. This is where your SMD, which means Studio Model Data, will be exported to. This SMD will be then used by a Quality Control QC file to be transformed into an MDL file. So I'm going to also teach you how to write that QC file. So for Export Path, set a work folder. I already have mine created here. And Engine Path is the bin folder of the game that you're trying to make this model for. So in my case, it's Portal 2. I'm going to go into Portal 2 bin folder, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Alright, now I already have my model here. I already have it named. The collection name is going to be the name of your SMD file. So I'm going to click Export tutorial.smd. You can see in my work folder it has been exported. And now we're going to write a QC for it, a very basic QC. So you're going to go here and create a new file. Let me just name it tutorial Garmezon and transform it into a QC file by just renaming it .qc extension at the end. So we're going to open it, and the first thing we're going to do is give it a name by using this command, model name Garmezon tutorial. This will also be the path of your model, so this will be inside the models folder and inside a folder called Garmezon, and there we will have Garmezon tutorial.mdl. Now we're going to go here and do a command called body. We're going to call it body, we're going to call it Garmezon. This can be whatever name you want, and we're going to reference here the tutorial.smd. So it's the path relative to where the QC is for this tutorial.smd. So just tutorial should work. You don't need to put the file extension also. Now, every single model in the source engine is an animated model. So we're going to go here and put a sequence to it. So sequence, I'm going to call it idle. And we're just going to reference the same model name because we want it to be a static prop. There we go. Now I'm gonna put the command static prop because I want it to be a static prop, and this enables basically it to be used by prop static. There we go. Now I'm gonna open crowbar, and you're gonna go here into the compile. You're gonna go into your QC input, and you're gonna select the file here, your QC file that you just written. And I'm gonna set it to games model folder and set the game that has the model compiler to Portal 2. But you can also set this to a work folder. Anyways, we're ready to compile. Click the compile button. Seems we have compiled with success. I already have model view open so we can see the model. Load model, Garmezon tutorial. You can see it worked, but it doesn't have any texture yet. To create a texture, you're just gonna go into Blender and this material, and you're gonna create a new material. Right. This name of the material will be what your model will look for as VMT. We will set the folder where it looks for that later on the QC file. So I'm gonna name this PMAM, and I'm gonna, just so I can preview it, you don't have to do this for it to work, but just so I can preview it, I'm gonna put my texture that I made here. You can see it works. So yeah, now I'm gonna export this again, tutorial.smd. We're gonna go into my QC folder, and we're gonna add a new command called cd materials. I'm gonna put this path to Garmezon tutorial. This is just a path to a VMT file. You don't have to include the VMT file name in here. Anyways, now I'm gonna create a VMT in VTF file by going to VTF edit, import. Let me open this. I'm gonna, oops, let me texture. Alright, I'm gonna save this as PMAM, and I'm gonna put this on the folder that we just specified here, Garmezon tutorial. I can already compile the model, but if you go into model viewer, you're gonna see still missing textures, but it's looking for a VMT PMAM. So I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna actually cut it to my Portal 2. Materials. I didn't put in models folder by accident, but that's fine. Garmezon tutorial. Copy this here, and we're gonna create a VMT file. Let me copy this. Now we're gonna add it here, and I'm gonna and I'm gonna change this to vertex lit generic, which is the shader that models use. I'm gonna also remove this translucent thing. Now if you go into model viewer and F5, you're gonna see it works perfectly. So now we're gonna add a collision mesh to this model. You're gonna go into here. You're gonna create new collection, and you're gonna name it something. I'm gonna name it mine tutorial fizz. And you're gonna create a rough shape of your object. This needs to be made with convex pieces, and they need to be shades moved. So shades move here, and let's create this. I'm gonna time lapse so you don't have to watch me creating this. Okay, now that we have created our collision mesh, you can check it out by hiding this. have a collision mesh created. It's roughly the same thing. You can see they're all shades moved. You're gonna select everything and press Ctrl A and apply auto transforms to both meshes. Now we're gonna export the tutorial fizz. It doesn't want to export that. Okay, we're just gonna export 2 files then. You're gonna see here on your folder that you have the tutorial fizz here .smd. You're gonna go into your QC and we're gonna add it as collision model. You're just gonna go and add a command called collision model. Oops. We're gonna reference tutorial fizz, and I'm gonna open a bracket to put the command concave so that our model is concave. Now we're gonna compile this. Okay. Remember to put spaces there. There we go. We should refresh and we're gonna see a physics model. And this is it for a static prop. Anyways, now we're gonna go to part 2 of this tutorial. So first we're gonna create 3 cubes, which I'm gonna rig. Then we're gonna add an armature. And we're gonna parent it normally like you would do in Blender, which is by selecting the object, selecting the bone, going to pose mode, here, object mode, bone. You can see how this works. And you're gonna do this for each bone that you have. There we go. Now we got everything parented. Now we're gonna create some animations. First things first is we're gonna go into animation, select here to action editor, and we're gonna create a new action. I'm gonna name this wave. So now we're gonna animate as you would do normally in Blender. You're gonna have to name your animation here. I'm gonna name it wave. Wave.smd. Okay, we're gonna export both files. Let me export it to the correct folder now. There we go. Tutorial animated.smd, and you got the animation here. Now we're not gonna write the QC file manually this time. We're gonna copy this. It can have the same name, it doesn't matter. But this has to be different, so we're gonna name it animated. Tutorial animated. In sequence now, we're gonna change this. We're gonna put NMs, and we're gonna put our wave. And we're gonna open brackets and do some commands here. We're just gonna do FPS 30 and loop. And close the bracket. We're gonna remove this collision model for now, as we don't have a collision model. We're also gonna comment out the materials right now, since we don't have any materials. And we're gonna remove static prop, because this won't be a static prop. Now we're gonna select this. We're gonna compile. Now we're gonna open model viewer again. Let's load the model, Garmezon tutorial animated, and you can see here, it works. It's set as the idle animation. Let's do 2 animations. Let's do a wave, and let's do an idle animation. Let's recompile. And reload the model. Now we have an idle and a wave animation. You did it. Now for adding textures, it's the same thing as before. So I'm just gonna select these and I'm gonna add a material to them as PMAM. And we're gonna select the same CD materials here. It looks ugly, but we're not gonna fix that just now, because more important things to get to. Now we're gonna go here, export, and then we're gonna go to crowbar, compile. We can go into our game here, refresh, and you can see it has textures now. Now we're gonna create the physics part of this model. I'm gonna go and put another collection here called tutorial this, and it's a very similar process to what we did for the static model, but here we're gonna have to parent the collision mesh to the same bones that we parent the main mesh to. So I'm gonna create 3 cubes here. I'm gonna hide these cubes and I'm gonna go to wireframe mode, and we're gonna parent it just like we did the other one. Now that we got this parented, we're gonna shade smooth them. Remember, it has to be shade smooth. There we go. Now we are going to export them. Now that we got them exported, we can add collision joints as a command to our QC file. We're gonna select tutorial this, and we're gonna open command, open bracket, and type concave inside of here. Now we're gonna compile. Yep, just making sure. There we go. Now we're gonna F5, and you can see it's perfectly there. If it's not perfectly there, you might need to select everything and press Ctrl A and apply all transforms. Do this to both of models, but in our case it seemed to have worked perfectly. Let's check wave. Yep, this will have collisions now in game. Now we're gonna make the worm as teased in the beginning of the video. I'm gonna add a sphere. I'm gonna scale it up, shade smooth, and I'm gonna rig it by doing this. Rig armature. I'm gonna add some armature here. I'm gonna keep the names of the bones as the default one, and we're gonna select here and this and the bone, and we're gonna Ctrl P, armature deform with automatic waves, and you can see here it deforms the mesh. So now we're gonna animate it. Let me just put this in tutorial animated. We're gonna animate it. Let's choose this wave animation, delete this, and we're gonna animate it. There we go. Now we're gonna add collision to it by doing convex pieces once again. So I'm gonna make cubes here that roughly fits the armature. Now we're gonna parent these to the bones like we parented the previous model before. Let's see if it works. Yep, seems to work perfectly. Now we're gonna go here, object mode, and we're gonna shades move all of these cubes. And we're gonna press Ctrl A and apply our transforms. We're gonna do this to the sphere as well. Alright. Now the QC file should be already written for this. So we can just go into here, export the free files. Okay, there's an armature. I'm just gonna delete this and rename this to wave. Now we're gonna compile. We should be able to refresh the model, and there we go. It's a little bit screwed up. We're gonna have to also apply our transforms to the rig. Now we should be able to export it. Wave, compile it, and okay, it's a little bit freaked. Nothing that a little. Okay, it's just generally messed up. We're gonna have to fix this by moving it down. There we go. Compile. There we go. It works perfectly. Anyways, that's the tutorial for you. Well, folks, that's it for now. If you have any suggestions, make sure to drop them in. There's plenty more to learn in general in life. Let me know. Let us know. We're sort of like a conglomerate now. You know, it's not me or them. It's we and us. Crazy, right? Crazy? I was crazy once. They